Leer, Executive Director for Van Allen Institute. We're talking about people living in New York City. And New York is quite fascinating. There's more people renting in New York than you have homeowners. Actually, renters vastly outnumber the homeowners here in the city. In 2016, New Yorkers on average paid 2/3 of their income on their living, especially when renting. That's a very high number. Imagine 2/3 of your income on your apartment. Often the burden of high rents leads to many people in New York living with roommates until a very late age. For instance, in the last decade or so, the number of people between early 30s and mid 50s living with roommates has increased to 15%. It's a rather high number. So let's look at this landscape of living and housing in New York City at a few different sites here in the neighborhood. I'm standing here on the High Line, which is a park on an elevated former train track that was cutting through then industrial Chelsea. These days Chelsea is not very industrial anymore. Initially it was many of the galleries who moved in, and what happened in the last years is that it got rezoned for residential use. And what you see happening here now is quite amazing. Many towers like the one here behind me get designed and built, often designed by famous architects like Zaha Hadid here in this case. And it's shocking to see what these are going for. Some of the apartments in this building are listed for $50 million, which is interesting to realize if you compare it with a situation in which many New Yorkers have to live with roommates simply because they cannot meet their rent. These days, Chelsea is one of the neighborhoods in New York City with the highest differences in income. Which is quite interesting if you realize that New York City is also a city with the highest affordable housing stock in the country. And we're standing in one of these developments. These are the Chelsea Elliot Houses, built in the early or in the middle of the 20th century, and currently have 2,000 units. And what you see happening is quite shocking. So in a neighborhood that has easily accessible delis, supermarkets and so on, these days you have all of these fancy towers that we were just looking at, and they have changed the landscape. There's suddenly more restaurants, stores that cater to the higher incomes, and that definitely has a big impact on the people living in these units here. In 2014, the city announced a 10-year plan to build and preserve 200,000 affordable units of housing. Quite an amazing exercise to see if this can be done. Since then, $800 million is the budget for the housing agency, which is a substantial increase of where it was. But then sadly, only 4,000 units have been built up to this point. So many units that still have to get built. So let me run you through some of the other items that are currently also happening. In order to get to those affordable units, there's also tax benefits for developers who are including affordable units in their otherwise fairly fancy developments. Of course, this is having interesting results, and by the way, those results are not necessarily specific to New York only. You also see it in cities like London. But what you get is entrances for the lower income units in those buildings, the poor doors, so to say. Next to very fancy entrances on the other side of the buildings for the market rate units. And then at the same time, thousands of units that were once rent regulated are turning into market rate units. And that's of course not what the city needs in a time when there's such a need for affordable housing. So with all of this knowledge, ranging from very high-end developments along the High Line, to the existing affordable housing, the new affordable housing units that we're currently trying to build, we realize how complex these issues are in a city like New York. And we really need input from the design community, from city officials and planners, in thinking through how can we actually build and maintain a city that is affordable for as many people as possible.